there are no AI-capable board members on the market. The supply is enormous,
Yeah.
non-existing, and
No.
Do you wonder how trailblazing leaders sense at scale, evolve to innovate, and align the actions in this increasingly digital world? Welcome to the Exploring Leaders podcast. The experienced team at Digoshen interviews leaders from around the world for insights and inspiration on how to lead in the digital age. In this episode, Digoshen founder Liselette Engstam, who is also an independent board chair and director, researcher, author, and advisor, asks the questions.
Warm welcome to this series on Beyond the Old Playbook, which is a series that we're running in this podcast with Digoshen Exploring Leaders. And it's basically around trying to look at the playbook doesn't work anymore. So what are the different ways we handle that or can handle that? And today we are discussing, is AI primarily something boards need to govern or an opportunity they need to understand and shape? And I'm super delighted to have Lars Husberg as part of this conversation. Welcome, Lasse.
Thank you, Liselott. A pleasure to be here.
And Lasse is a colleague, and he's the chairman of 3 companies. And so he has plenty of experience. And he also has his background in handling transformations and including technology. So it fits very well, this discussion. I thought we'd actually start with looking at an art. And here is the artwork we're looking at today. Can you see it?
Yes, I can, yeah. I actually looked up this artwork to understand it more.
Yeah, so it's not so much about actually understanding the artwork as what do you see in it. And I'll just first say, because people usually become curious, that it's an artwork called Twittering Machine by Paul Klee, and it was done as early as 1922. Which is interesting. So looking at these figures, whatever they are, what do you see first, and what does this artwork bring up for you personally?
Well, the artwork as such, these birds that are connected together with looking like a machine. So is it nature or machine? And I thought that regardless if it is nature or man-made machine, both are systems with actors or actuators in a complex interplay. So does it really matter if it's mechanical machine or circle of life? So for me, the painting is both a blueprint of nature and a machine. So does it matter? And for us, and for me, this means that we have to understand how our world around us behaves and works, so we can live accordingly and then fulfill our purpose in that context.
I love that. It's also an interesting painting in terms of the background being quite foggy.
Yes.
Did you reflect on that part?
Well, not so much. No, it more brought the figures more into the center. So it was easy to focus on those. But yes, it was blurry without clarity beyond.
Yeah. Which kind of fits very well with the topic we're going to talk about.
Absolutely.
The leadership that we are trying to exercise. So I thought I'd start with, and I'm going to take this down, of course. I thought I'd start with a question around what AI conversations are boards actually having right now? And can you share something without going into detail about which boards, etc.? But you both have your own boards, but you're also meeting a lot of other board members through your different engagements. So what do you hear? What is the board conversation around AI?
Yes. Well, if you take the companies that I'm chairing, so one is an IT company developing and providing AI-based services. One company is developing advanced security systems for commercial and industrial buildings, and one is a manufacturing company. And interestingly, when in the company providing AI services to others brings very quickly cybersecurity governance and compliance on the table immediately, because you cannot develop these services very far before customers really start to ask questions about these things. And these needs are usually very industry specific, so not very much generic AI. So when you are in healthcare, you have a lot of healthcare compliance and stuff like that. Then when you work with the army intelligence organizations, you have a lot of cybersecurity. So they're very industry specific quickly also. So, and when you provide these AI services, then you really can feel the speed of AI development. Because you see how quickly the market develops, how quickly your competitors develop, and the amount of resources required to keep up with the speed. It's like an accelerating speed. And it's a totally different view when you provide AI-based IT services than just being like a manufacturing company thinking of how should we use AI opportunities. And the speed is really set by competitors, whereas customers become bottlenecks.
Oh, interesting.
And
Can you
and
share
so
some
you
more around that? The
yeah,
customers
because
as
then
a
you
bit of
start
bottleneck?
following, and then you start investing together with your competitors without really knowing is the market everyone believes in.
Yeah.
So that's a huge risk and very tough question for the board and the owners.
Right.
Because it's very difficult to really measure the risk
Right.
profile. So and again, with less digital business like manufacturing, I think pushing the innovation path is most important to get the organization moving. So it's a very wide spread of approaches that the board needs depending on the business.
Right.
So the board has to understand the implications of IE in order then to balancing over time and shifting focus between innovation, risk, and governance. Of course, I think important is to think customer first. So usually you start innovating with your customer, then you come cybersecurity, then you have to start governancing whatever you build, the business, and then you have your joint risks with your customers and your own suppliers. So those are quite complex governance and risk questions.
Right.
Yeah.
And so in some ways you have a benefit because you are on some boards which meets these questions quicker than
Yes.
others. So how do you help your board members? Because most of the board members haven't operated in an AI environment, and many of them actually have hardly used AI either. So how do you help them understand the impact that it might have?
Yes. Well, in all three boards, we have members in the board who have, in a way, who have technology touch points from a business perspective, and they already work with AI.
Right.
So we have, in a way, AI literate board members already in the board.
Okay.
So that helps the other members to understand that what type of discussions we need to have in the board.
Right.
So that's one way to have it. But otherwise it's quite a complex thing, and I'm not happy at all on how mature we are with our discussions, even in those companies where we provide AI services, because the speed is just so quick.
Right. So,
And I don't see a risk in moving too quickly today. I
right.
usually say if you wait 3 months, you are 6 months behind because it's an accelerating speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And only bigger risk is if you make business or technology architecture designs that lock you in the wrong future.
Right.
But that there, I think traditional technology assessments or business strategy approaches help in those
Right.
decisions.
Right. And this thing about the speed, I guess we're going to be in that situation for quite some time now, that
Yes,
certain businesses move quickly, and certain actually don't have the resources as you were after there in the beginning. So then the question really becomes also a question about capital allocation. So how does that discussion manifests itself in the board, comparing to the risk of actually not moving?
well, if we take capital allocation from a perspective where you develop AI services to the market, the question today is that is any capital enough? And then is the question of what's your company size? What's your balance sheet? What type of investors do you have?
Mm,
Do you drop the opportunity? Do you sell the opportunity? Or do you just close your eyes and make big
mm,
bets?
right.
Those are existential questions.
Yeah.
And then in less digital businesses, I think difficult in capital allocation is that there is so much, in a way, old legacy in the companies that all our investments goes into projects with bad returns.
Right.
And then should you start smaller risks but
Mm,
with growth pockets and
mm,
forgetting the rest of the business, or should you bring the whole business up to AI speed?
mm,
I haven't found any good ways to
right.
fix those discussions yet, but
Right.
those are all those discussions in both digital and more like less digital companies are
Right.
still ongoing.
Right. And I can hear that at least in some of your companies, it has already started to impact quite a lot on the way the company creates value. And in some companies, it's still there to figure out where the best opportunities are and how to
Absolutely.
capture that value. So that discussion, when you have this group which is very unevenly competent on, and also probably even unevenly competent or unevenly willing for risk. How do you manage that as a chairman to try to optimize a bit and get into action? And where do you see, how did you figure out when you started to see that the investments in AI actually creates value with some of your boards?
Well, I think we are still in that process. I think everyone has heard for a couple of years already how AI will change business. So we all know that we have to invest. And I think that what we really, well, first of all, what we have done to get better discussions in the board is that we have been working with future and foresight to build
Right.
future pictures with assumptions to understand that how could the world in the future look like. So that's one thing, to start discussion more, to take the horizon further
Mm,
further into the future, to discuss about the future, to have
mm,
some clarity that where are we going. And if we talk that, how do we get AI knowledge in the board or in management? In the IT company, when we did our strategy process, we thought that let's discuss with customers to understand how customers use IT services. But instead, we used a big IT consultancy company working with all our customers and asked them first, hey, you are building our customers' future technology and business. What can you tell about our customers? And I think the most alarming news we got was that our customers are so busy with their legacy, so they have no time to innovate. All innovation comes from external consultants and vendors.
Wow.
And so I wonder how those companies and their boards and management discuss about AI. And as we learn, I have learned from growth companies, because growth companies work in high uncertainty, in volatile markets. And in those markets, the company that is the quickest learner will win.
Right.
And what I have been trying to create in my boards is that today we have AI prophets or snake oil merchants, but
Right.
no one has written the future.
No, totally.
Where do we get the answers we don't know?
Yeah.
So but I have tried to understand how growth companies work and how they learn, so that the board and the management could learn together, a joint learning
Right.
exercise. So how do we change the culture so that we work together? So we have hypotheses, we test, we learn, build, measure, learn, minimum viable products, pivoting, and all this. How do we do this? So that we constantly test. And then I think an important thing is also to look outside our company, our industry, our competitors, customers, that the most innovative AI companies, what are they doing? And what can we learn from them? Because what I have understood when I've seen and know people who work in AI companies working with language models and databases, that we have to understand the speed and magnitude of change that can be totally mind-boggling and beyond our comprehension.
Right.
And there's a risk, what I see in my companies that I chair, is that we take AI into too small opportunities and we forget the big opportunities.
Right.
So because
And it's also in
yeah.
Okay. Did you hear me? Normally, we're used to getting an investment case and we decide on an investment case. And an investment case is always an hypothesis about the future, right?
Yes.
So how do we actually look at investment cases when none of us really knows? How do we manage the experimentation and the innovation as boards? And what ideas do you have and are you trying to pursue in your boards?
Well, the board where I think that we have the most advanced way to look at this, we used future and foresight, and then our whole business planning is according to McKinsey's 3 horizons.
Right.
So we have business plans for horizon 1, 2, and 3.
And maybe you can just share for the listeners, what does those horizons mean?
Yes. So horizon is all those initiatives you have to defend your existing business and your profitability. Horizon 2 is how do you develop your business into new areas. And then horizon 3 is new innovations for the future.
Right.
And so we have these business plans and we have different projects for all these horizons. So but of course, the more it is into the future, the more it is a bet. And then you just have to build clarity through future and foresight to be able to make those bets.
Right.
And then be aligned with owners, board, and management.
Right. And these three horizons, have they, do you think, maybe helped you in progressing also now when things are moving so fast?
Absolutely. 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 Because it, first of all, it created new terminology in the company. How do we discuss about the future? How do we look into the future? How do we define different things into the future? How do we set up assumptions? And so it's actually more concrete to discuss about the future than just imagining and being scared.
Yeah, yeah. And I know from before and your positions that you're doing this kind of both from business, technology, but also sustainability angle. So you're trying to understand in what and how do you actually kind of merge between these areas?
Well, that's at the moment in these companies, it's merged at market and customer level. because
Right.
because if we work with the cities and government customers, they rate sustainability very high. And then we have markets
Right.
like Sweden or the Netherlands, then sustainability is very important. Where we work with intelligent buildings is very much regulated already by EU, so their sustainability is very important. So sustainability comes through customer expectations and customer needs,
Mm, mm.
and that's in a way it has been a more simpler question for us to address so far.
Right. And in those situations, can you share something about how do you work with strategy? Do you have it like once a year or twice a year or every board meeting, or how do you follow up your three horizons? When are you doing that?
Yes, the basic structure in the board meetings is that we have in every board meeting we have agenda points that are related to ensuring the company's future, so strategic questions and also profitability.
Right.
And then some board meetings we also have the third agenda block, which is compliance.
Mm,
But in every board meeting we have some subjects around strategy. It can
right.
be product roadmap, it can be customer expectation, it can be supply chain strategy or stuff.
Mm,
So but also and then we have our strategic initiatives we follow up with the system, mostly OKRs. So yes, those are actively the strategic initiatives and different subjects under the strategy umbrella.
mm,
And then once in a while we update our future pictures.
right. And on the OKR topic, how, how do you update that? And do you update that both on management level?
Yes, it's the
Yeah.
management uses that and reports to the board.
Right.
Yes.
Which is an interesting way because that's also changing. It's a dynamic approach
Yes,
as well. So,
it's a dynamic approach, and the beauty in that is that KPIs is
mm,
more like what is your speed,
mm,
and OKRs, that's more about what are your milestones. So
right.
so OKRs are your milestones. What are changes you want to achieve? What are outcomes or
Mm,
changes in the business you want to achieve? And then the
Right.
KPIs are what is speed towards it,
Right.
profitability or sales. So
Right.
that we also have tried to learn the board with management how to use this type of tools to get again
Right.
clarity.
Right. Do you see any changes to role of the board, both due to speed, to what we actually need to know or need to?
Yeah, I think that the big change here is really the how the board and the management team and also the owners work together to better understand the business
Mm,
and learn together.
mm,
Because it's a constant learning. It's a
right.
constant learning how to, because now with AI, because the change is going to be so quick, and
Right.
you don't have a cookbook, you don't have any ready stuff you can read how to operate in that
Right.
environment.
Right.
You have to learn it. You have to have the ability to understand these things in
Mm,
order to somehow build your own approach to that.
yeah. Yeah. And
And
it's
interesting
mm,
because
mm,
if you look at internet, how that changed business.
yeah.
It started 30 years ago.
Right.
The first phase was okay, you could find products, you could find market prices and in the late 90s. And then the transactions went online.
Right.
Then you had these marketplaces, and then you got eBays and Amazons,
Mm,
and then you combine this with physical stuff, and you had
mm,
Airbnb and Uber and Volt, and for 30 years internet has changed our business,
mm,
and now AI is in a way a new flavor in this
mm,
same change.
mm,
So now we have agents working instead of us, picking for us. And then the next phase is that agents negotiate with agents. And
right.
the next phase after that will have that we have agent departments like a procurement department with its own budget for the agents. And they
Right.
make all the decisions.
Right.
So it's that same change that is changing
Mm,
our business.
mm,
So I don't think we shouldn't think as this as something new starting.
mhm.
It is a continuum of
Yeah.
what has been happening.
It is maybe with the difference that the speed is very different compared to before on how quickly things change and maybe also in what way board members need to understand what this technology can do. Since it, as we were saying, the platforms and the new business models in the previous era developed quite slowly, so everybody
Yes.
had a chance to pick that up in some way, or the board were changed. In this case, the board members, which kind of historically were chosen because something they knew, now needs to be chosen for some way of taking risks and be willing to learn, as you were saying.
Yeah,
Can
yes,
you
because
share? Go ahead.
there are no AI capable board members on the market. The supply is enormous,
Yeah.
none existing, and the
No.
demand is enormous. So where are those AI literate board members? So
Yeah.
they have to have, you have to think of different capabilities. So where are those who are curious? Where are those who want to learn, who can
Right.
work together, who can innovate together,
Right.
and who understands that hey, you have to be able to live with high level of unsecurity and
Mm.
make bets.
Mm.
So it's going to be very difficult to recruit board members.
Right. No, I
Absolutely
think you're
very difficult.
right because that's a an approach rather than a competence you can read on a CV.
Yes, yes, and then of course we have a lot of board members who are experts in risk and governance.
Mm.
So if we only have those type of board members, I think that innovation capability in those companies will be very limited.
Yeah. Very good. And still, we do need to have governance. And one of the challenges we now have is that we used to have governance totally aligned with humans. So it was a person, a department, and we were in control. Now, and I just saw some recent research from MIT, and they are identifying that the majority of the more advanced companies that are using AI, the individuals, they are performing tasks that were previously done in another department. So the governance is very different. How are you discussing governance in your boards? How are you thinking around governance? And with your management, of course.
Well, it's in a very early stage yet. It's in a very early stage yet, and for in one of the companies, when we started to use a lot of AI in developing software and coding and that, then of course we in the board asked, hey, how do we ensure that if AI is doing the job, it's as good as if humans do it, and how do we ensure all that, all these risks and governance questions in that. And also when we are presented again every year, we have to sign off the code of conduct. So then I asked, hey, where is the chapter in the code of conduct? So how the AI agents code of conduct?
Yeah.
How do we manage that?
Yeah.
And in one of the companies, we now think of innovating largely our sales process, our configure price quote process, and customer service. So that is going to rewrite all the department boundaries
Right.
in that case, because
Yeah.
if we automate within tasks or within sub departments or teams, we will never have that innovation.
No. No. Then we're stuck.
Then we
Then
are
we're stuck.
stuck.
Yeah.
So then we just have more complexity again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then we would do like we did with IT 20 years ago.
Right. So we need to bring this to a closure, and
Yes.
it's fantastic to hear your insights. And we can also just say, for people who are interested in meeting you in person and discussing this further, we have an opportunity to invite people to join the board forum in Amsterdam in October that they should check out. And of course, you are with us in Board's Impact Forum on different trainings and webinars as well. I wanted to leave you with a final question, which is, because you are in some of your companies a bit ahead, what is one AI question every board should have on its agenda today that probably isn't there yet? And
Well,
what are you most curious about yourself?
yes. Well, the first, what should be on the agenda? I thought very much about this, and if reflects my thoughts when I wrote this down, is that I think that what should we as individuals and we as a team, the board, collectively do to understand and master AI in our job as board member for this company?
Right.
So be honest about this,
Yeah.
like attending an
yeah.
AA meeting. So
Yeah. And what are you most curious about yourself?
well, I have to say that my whole working life for over 40 years, I've been fighting and bridging the gap and misalignment between business and IT.
Right.
My whole working life, in almost in every job I've had.
Yeah.
And now the work continues with new things, widening the gap And of course, new opportunities again to build the bridge.
Right.
So it's a fantastic opportunity for a curious person to stay motivated and healthy. So there's a lot of fun and inspiring challenges ahead to work with together with business leaders.
Wonderful. And what a wonderful way to end this. We'd like to leave our listeners with a question they can ponder on until we meet them next. And in this case, we wanted to ask them, as AI becomes increasingly capable, what should we deliberately keep human? Which I think is a question for all of us individually, and also, of course, for us as leaders and board members.
Absolutely.
What is it? How do we balance that? Yes. Thank you so much. It was a delight and it was an honor, and I look forward to meeting you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liselott, for having this opportunity. I'm very excited about this subject.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Exploring Leaders, a podcast produced by Digoshen, with the ambition to inspire insightful leadership in the digital age. If you found this episode interesting, join the momentum to amplify the voices of trailblazing leaders by sharing it with others for inspiration. For any questions or recommendations on other inspiring leaders you like to listen to, contact us via our website, digoshen.com, or via social media as LinkedIn or Twitter.